As promised in my last AR Maker video, I'm going to share with you another way that you can make your own images with transparent backgrounds to use in your own scene in AR Maker. To do this, you're going to need the app Keynote. It's an Apple product and it's free to download from the App Store. When you go into Keynote, you're going to want to start a new presentation. You do that by pressing this cross and then choose a theme. Basic white is all you need to choose. You'll want to click on each of these boxes and delete them just to get them out of the way. And that's where you'll start if you're starting from scratch. I've already started one though, so I'm going to open up that presentation instead. I wonder if, by just looking at these slides, you can tell which story I'm planning to recreate in AR Maker. That's right, the hungry little caterpillar. I've already created all of the food that I needed and the different characters, but I'm going to show you now how to make some trees. First thing I need to do is add a new slide. You need a separate slide for each image. I add a new slide by pressing the plus button down the bottom. I'm going to scroll to the bottom and choose the blank slide. That way I don't need to worry about deleting those boxes every time. Now all of these images that I've created so far were made using a shape as the base. To add a shape, you press the plus up the top and then choose the little picture that has the circle and square kind of overlapping each other. Here you can see the wide range of shapes you have to choose from. There is food items, animals, nature, science, places, people, normal shapes, 3D shapes. There's so many to choose from. For trees, I'm going to look in nature and I'll choose this tree. I can change the size by just holding my fingers on those blue dots and enlarging as you normally would in most apps. There's a variety of ways now that you can colour your shape. To find those options, you need to make sure that the shape is selected and then press the paintbrush up the top. Here you have a variety of choices. Style is where you play with the colours and the border of the shape. Text is where you add text, and arrange is where you can rotate the shape, move it towards the back, to the front if you're layering, and also allows you to break the shape apart or lock it in place. There are a few different ways now that you can colour your shape. By pressing on the fill box, you'll see that you can choose from a wide range of colours, you can choose gradient, or you can fill with an image. Because I was using illustrations from Eric Carle, I wanted to have a bit of difference, a bit of texture in the pictures. So the first way I started doing that was with gradient. How gradient works is you just choose two different colours and it gradually goes from one of those colours to the other. Another way to colour images, and this really works for Eric Carle, is to use images as a background. Now I went and screenshotted some of the different collage backgrounds of Eric Carle throughout the storybook. And boy, doesn't it make a difference using those instead of just a gradient fill. If you were doing this with your class, imagine painting your own Eric Carle style backgrounds, photographing those and using that as the image fill in the pictures within Keynote. Once you're happy with your image, what you need to do is set the background of this slide to have no fill. To do this, you need to make sure you're not selecting any shapes, so just click on the background and then press the paintbrush again. Those settings will now look a little bit different than they did when you were clicking on the shape. And what you want to press on is background, and then no fill. The slide should go black. Even though there's loads and loads of shapes, sometimes you need to be a bit creative with the shapes that you choose for different items. For example, the cocoon is just a leaf that I coloured brown and added some texture to, as well as a fuzzy border. The pickle is actually a banana that I shaded green and then added a really fuzzy border. You can also use shapes and the drawing features, which I did with this butterfly. I changed the background with a picture from the Eric Carle story for the wings, and then I just used my Apple Pencil or your finger to add the details for the middle of the butterfly. You don't even need to use shapes at all. You could just create a drawing and then remove the background like we've done here, and that will also work as an image in AR Maker. Now that you've done all the images you need and you've made sure that they're all set to no fill on the background, you want to save them as images. To do that, the first thing you need to do is press the 3 little dots up the top. Then you want to choose Export. Choose Images, and then it's really important that you choose PNG images. That's the file type that supports a transparent background. And then just save them to your camera roll. Then let's go open AR Maker. Within AR Maker, you're going to want to choose Create Your Own Scene. Then, once you've set the grid, we want to go into New, and then the File, and start to import all of those images that you created in Keynote. One thing I didn't do in Keynote is cut out the little circles in the middle of all the food items to show where the caterpillar's been eating. It is possible, but it's a bit fiddly. In AR Maker, we have that scissors tool where you're able to rub out the background, and in this case, I just rubbed out a tiny little circle in the middle of each food item. I did that as I was importing them all. The other important thing to remember is where you save your Keynote image on that AR Maker canvas is where it's going to be situated in the AR Maker scene. So if you want it on the ground, make sure you save it all the way down the bottom of the canvas. If you want it up in the air, save it up the top. And just keep placing to make your scene. Time for the finishing touches. Once I'm done, you can use the record function in AR Maker to retell the story, or because I want to move the caterpillar around the scene, I'm going to use screen record and then bring up a caterpillar like I was going to place it and make it move around the scene. Time for the finishing touches. Once I'm done, you can use the record function in AR Maker to retell the story, or because I want to move the caterpillar around the scene, I'm going to use screen record and then bring up a caterpillar like I was going to place it and make it move around the scene. In the light of the moon, a little egg lay on a leaf. This was such a fun project. I really had a great time making all of the parts of this story. You could do any story, any scenes, and with a bit of imagination, the shapes in Keynote would take care of most parts of the scene. Otherwise, have a go at drawing in Keynote as well. I can't wait to see what you guys come up with.